The Nationals head back east after going 4-5 on this West Coast road trip. How are you feeling about the Washington Nationals? Let me tell you, eh.
You are Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, I am your host, Ryan Clary. You can catch me over on Twitter at RyanClary11 and as well as our show page at LO_Nationals for all your latest Nationals news and notes. Make sure to check us out over on Twitter. Of course, look up Locked On Nationals wherever you get your podcasts, whether it's on Apple and of course, over on Spotify as well. Later on in today's show, let's talk about Brady House. The Nationals have an off day today, so it's going to give us some time to talk about the Nationals' top prospect and how he has looked up in the major league so far. I've been impressed. Well, I'll kind of dive into that a little later on in today's program. And in the second segment, it is a Monday, so it's a Nats Stock Report Monday. Whose stock is up and whose stock is down? This is a juicy one, I must say, and a lot of hot performances as of recently at the plate. We'll have that discussion for you in that second segment. But we start off discussing the Washington Nationals coming back east. And how do you feel? Honestly, I'm kind of on the fence. I'll explain, but today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. And right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That is FanDuel.com. As far as the Washington Nationals go, this is what we talk about. We are Locked On Nationals. So yeah, as far as the Nationals go, this is what we do. We talk about them. I don't know how to feel about the Nationals at this point. I don't. I find myself kind of searching and kind of wondering like, well, all things considered, the Nationals have been an utter disappointment this season. No one was necessarily expecting playoffs. No one was really should have been expecting playoffs. But also with that in mind, you look at James Wood, you look at CJ Abrams, and the individual performances, they kind of stack up and you're like, well, some things are going the Nationals' way. Luis Garcia Jr. has been a lot better as of recent. Michael Soroka has been relatively successive so far. You've had Mackenzie Gore having quality starts and proving that he's an ace in Major League Baseball. There are a lot of good things to consider here. But then you look at their overall record, and you're like, well, the Nationals are last in the National League East. They're 35-49. They're on pace for maybe 70 wins at this point in time. Even then, that might not even be realistic at this point. They're really on a stepping course to take a step back this season. That's really the reality of things for Nationals fans moving forward. But one thing that I do want to talk about real quick about this West Coast swing, it did kind of encourage me a little bit. When you just get beaten up by the Rockies and teams like the Marlins, you got swept by the Marlins and you almost got swept by the Rockies, but thank goodness James Wood hit that walk-off home run a week and a half ago on that Thursday day game. And the Nationals went 4-5 on this West Coast trip. If I were to sit back after yesterday's win, which by the way, what a doozy of a win in yesterday's game. It started off with the Nationals just, quite frankly, not looking good whatsoever. And really, all three games against the Angels, this was just the battle of bad. I mean, you were going in there, two really bad bullpens, and they're going toe-to-toe, blowing leads, saving leads, blowing them again, and then going in there, having your offense hit a couple of home runs, a couple of extra base hits, and then yesterday's game was just complete and utter chaos. One thing I do want to highlight from that game yesterday was Drew Millas. Drew Millas, he should be your starting catcher moving forward. I'm not going to exhaust the listeners yet again on another spiel about Drew Millas here, but his first start was awesome yesterday. Having that RBI double to take the lead in the 11th inning, that's really what propelled the Nationals to win against the Angels because, let's be honest, early on in that game, I thought we were well on our way to being 3-6 in the road trip, being relatively unhappy, and only winning one game in Anaheim. That's kind of what I was thinking. That's where my mindset was at. The ninth inning happened. C.J. Abrams did his thing, and ultimately the Nationals went on to win that game yesterday on the heels of a 3-inning performance by Kyle Finnegan. Yesterday, Kyle Finnegan was awesome. But I do want to hone in on the Nationals offense here. Drew Millis, this should be your guy moving forward as your catcher. Stop there. C.J. Abrams, he's back. Having that double and a 2-run triple in the 11th yesterday to make it 7-4 after that go-ahead double by Drew Millis, this is kind of what the Nationals have dreamed of. This is kind of the dream for the Nationals and Mike Rizzo at this point in time. You need to see your young talent take those steps up. And Drew Millis is in this conversation, by the way. I'm not saying he's going to be the catcher of the future. That's not realistic. But the Nationals, they have a catcher problem. And with Drew Millis, I think if he were to hit at even just a below average rate at this point, that should be your catcher for the rest of the season. It is unequivocally not even a debate that he is your best defensive catcher that you have. And the defensive catching part of this, it has held this team back a ton. You see the difference from Keibert Ruiz to Riley Adams. Adams is a better defensive catcher, but Ruiz is getting paid the big bucks, and the Nationals, they want to make him work so badly. It has not worked. Drew Millis, and even then on the other hand, with what's-his-face, Riley Adams, doesn't work either. But Drew Millis, I think there is a real possibility that he can take this job and he can run with it. So all in all, good weekend. But one thing that we have yet to mention just yet, our star, James Wood. James Wood was intentionally walked not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times in yesterday's extra innings win against the Angels. The Angels went in there with a game plan. Their game plan was, you're going to phase 8 hitters today. But that guy, that star, James Wood, that left field, he is a great hitter. The 22-year-old superstar. He is not going to beat you today. Imagine going into that and thinking that James Wood would be intentionally walked 4 times, coming off a game where he had 2 hits in Saturday's loss for the Nationals, but I was watching that thinking, this is rare. Like, I've never seen this before happen. Well, it's because it happened. The last time it happened was in 2004 with Barry Bonds, the best hitter that we have ever seen, being walked, intentionally walked, 4 times in one game. James Wood joins a list of what? 6 players now in total that have ever done that. He joins Andre Dawson, Barry Bonds, Roger Maris, Manny Ramirez, and Gary Templeton. 6 players in total, including James Wood. Think about that for a second. And also, by the way, James Wood now over his first 162 games with the Washington Nationals, he has hit the same amount of home runs as Bryce Harper and Juan Soto. 2 superstars, 2 future Hall of Famers. I'll be the first one to say it. I'm ready to put James Wood in the Hall of Fame. This guy is that good. And I think we should probably stop comparing him to Bryce Harper and Juan Soto. James Wood is his own entity at this point. This guy is his own beast. I'm not trying to say that, again, this guy is going to carry this franchise to the next World Series. He's going to win MVPs. And yeah, MVPs, plural, not singular. He could. But right now with where you are, James Wood is just such a treat to watch each and every day. The plate discipline, it's there. The power, it's clearly there. The hit tool, it's there. And also defensively in left field, the improvements that he has taken, the steps that he has taken in 2025, it proves that this guy is not just an offensive piece here. He was praised to be a 5-tool caliber talent. Last year, I did not see it. I did not see the defense stepping up, and I was like, this guy is going to have to move over to first base eventually. I kind of thought that, never really said it, but that's really what I was thinking. But now this year, it all makes sense. He's a positive in left field. He's great on the bases. He steals bases. He hits for power. And this guy is now on a 45 home run pace at this point in time. He is a treat to watch. You know what's the unfortunate thing about James Wood, though? Is that he is not an all-star starter. And Teoscar Hernandez is in that conversation with well over 1 million more votes than James Wood. Listen, I get how this works. All-star games, it's a popularity contest. And it's really amongst fan bases. And if you're a team from Los Angeles, and if you're the best team in baseball like Detroit, you're going to have a ton of votes come in defending your guys. And if you're one of the worst teams in baseball like the Nationals are at this point, you're not going to get that many votes. That's kind of where the Nats are. You have not gotten the votes, and it sucks because, again, James Wood should be in the MVP conversation if this team was around 500. That's how good he is. And the fact that he's not going to be a starter, and he'll be in the All-Star game, he might be in the home run derby for all we know. Things are going to happen. Things are going to move, and I expect this thing to move on forward. But the fact that he is not in the All-Star game is so disrespectful. It just shows you, and it just shines a light on this process for really not even just guys like James Wood, but for guys in the past like Anthony Rendon. He should have been an All-Star in 2018. He should have been an All-Star in 2017, and that was never the case. Baseball stinks at times, and in this case, it stinks. You need to see James Wood as an all-star starter. He deserves it. And the fact that Ronald Acuna through 30 games or 33 games at this point, that he's in that conversation and James Wood is not, it's a joke. So I don't blame the fans. I see some people out there being like, the fans have to be better. It's not about the fans. It's about baseball as a whole and marketing their stars. That's been their issue, and it's always been their issue. So, sucks seeing James Wood not being an all-star starter, but we'll see where things go moving forward. Thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen every single day. Next, let's get into a Nats not a prospect stock report, just a Nats stock report. Whose stock is up and whose stock is down. We'll tell you all about that and more after we tell you about our friends at FanDuel. And summer sports are in full swing. And whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. And you're already following the action. Why not make it a little bit more thrilling? And with FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. Tomorrow, James Wood going against Jack Flaherty. I can guarantee you this. He is going to hit maybe 2 home runs in those red seats out at the red porch. I've got a James Wood anytime home run already for tomorrow's game. I also have the under on the strikeouts for Jack Flaherty. He has really struggled so far, and he has been the weak link in that Tiger staff. So when you use FanDuel, you can track your favorite matchups, and the app keeps it fresh with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. So are you new to FanDuel? Then new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. And open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. Thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. The Nationals head back east. They got the day off today. Next, we'll talk about Brady House and really the impressive outings that I have seen from so far. We'll have that discussion for you, but we start off with a Nats stock report. Whose stock is up and whose stock is down? We start off with our star shortstop, C.J. Abrams. He has hits in 9 of his last 10 games, and in that 10-game stretch, he's got 3 home runs, 8 RBIs, 3 doubles. The 2-run triple that he had yesterday also. He is batting .354 with a .646 slug. CJ, this is the kind of play that I expected from him. And he has these weird pockets of stretches where CJ gets wildly hot like he is in now, and then he'll have a few week stretch where he's batting like 190 with like a 530 ops. But right now, CJ is really consistent. He's putting the ball in play. He's not striking out. He's playing solid defense at times, even though we still see some of the errors pop up here and there. But batting 287 with an 852 OPS on the year with a high slug, I'll take that. CJ, he's a stud. And right now he's on pace for what? Likely around 23, 24 home runs. And even then that comes off when he was injured and missed a few games earlier on in the season. So CJ, stud, star. Stock up for CJ Abrams. Love watching him play every single day. Stock down for Zach Brixey, the local guy from Virginia Tech. Saturday's blow-up loss in the 7th was a tough watch. And over his last 4 appearances, he has given up 3 home runs and 7 earned runs. I will preface it by saying this, though. Zach Brixey was quietly really steady and really good for basically all of June, up until his last few appearances. And really overall this season, he's had a couple of blow-ups, but when you're a young bullpen arm coming off Tommy John surgery, this is going to happen. This is always the kind of the idea for Brixey. He's never supposed to be a superstar of the bullpen. He's good, but he's also replaceable. But I will say, we didn't really talk about him too much when he was doing really well in the month of June because, again, the Nationals were in that swoon and they were losing basically every single night at that point. And we didn't really get to talk about him too much when he was doing well. But Zach Brixey, over his last few games here, he has given up the long ball. He has given up a touchdown in his last 3 starts, or his last 3 appearances, rather. And it's just been really tough for the kid. I feel for him because, again, this Nationals bullpen, while at one point it was trending up early on this summer, it certainly is not anymore. And Zach Brixey, unfortunately, is part of that problem at this point in time, along with Eduardo Salazar, who, by the way, are we pretty sure, or are we sure that he was better than Jorge Lopez? I don't know. Just saying. Stock up for center fielder Jacob Young. Stellar defense. Friday night, scaling the wall at Anaheim Stadium. Jacob Young has quietly kind of turned it around a little bit. And also one thing I want to acknowledge, because we cried about this a lot earlier on this season, or at least I did. He was not stealing bases. In fact, he was getting caught stealing at a crazy rate, and it just never made sense. It was said that he was been working on his stealing and working on his sliding, but I never saw it. And now we start to see it. So he has 4 stolen bases over his last 9 games on this road trip. He was only caught stealing 1 time in that span. And also, he's batting 300 in his last 9 games, a 749 OPS. He had a big hit in yesterday's game also, and he's delivered a couple of big hits so far this series. And again, we have said this time and time again. If Jacob Young can be solid on the base path and get on base at a relatively decent rate and have like a 750 OPS, this is a great player to build around because he is so good defensively, but he's got to be consistent. And that's really the main thing that we have to talk about moving forward. So with that in mind, stock down for Nationals pitcher, who kind of has been in a funk as of recent, Jake Irvin. Friday night might have been his worst start since 2023. It was certainly his worst start all season long. 3 home runs given up, 8 earned runs in 4 1/3 innings pitched, and 9 hits in those 4 frames. Jake Irvin, what was going on there? It feels as if that Jake Irvin is a better pitcher at home. And I think that's just the case in general with him. Maybe it's a comfort thing, but Jake Irvin on Saturday just seemed totally lost. And really for him, he has been so steady and so consistent at times that it just kind of makes you wonder, like, what is going on with him? And if you look at his numbers this season, it has not been a good campaign for him. Last year in the first half, he was pushing all-star numbers territory. He was probably the Nationals' best pitcher in the first half of 2024. I kind of expected a big step up from Jake Irvin this season, but so far, he cannot get out of these bad outings. And when he has these bad outings, they're bad. So it's a stock down for Jake Irvin. This leads us to a stock up for my guy, Michael Soroka. Saturday's start was one of his best starts all season. I think he continues to kind of build off these performances because he looked great. 6 innings pitched, 2 hits given up, only 1 earned run, 1 walk, and 5 strikeouts. He was disgusting in Saturday's game. And also we saw that with Pitching Ninja picked up one of his pitches because I forgot who the batter was at this point in time. It was a few days ago. And I don't remember what I had for breakfast today. But Michael Soroka had this one slider that literally had a batter fall out of the batter's box and it fell in for a strike. I mean, Michael Soroka back to his 2019 All-Star Cy Young form there. What an awesome start from Michael Soroka. And even then, we've talked about it. Over his last 2 starts, he's delivered some really good starts here. And what is it and why? It's because he has not given up the long ball. If he keeps the ball in the yard, he has some solid performances for this team. And yeah, I think at the deadline, teams might be calling for him because I think you might look at the ERA and kind of think to yourself like, well, it's not that good. But then you look deeper into it. If he does not give up the long ball, he delivers quality starts. That's 1 bad pitch per outing that he's got to take away. And if he could do that, you've got yourself something. And the Nationals, they need that. But also teams out there, they might need that. So stock up for Michael Soroka. I've been really impressed with what I have seen so far. Next, let's talk about the Nationals' future star, third baseman, Brady House. He has been really good, but also there needs to be some tweaks. We'll discuss that after this. Thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. So the Nationals' former first-round pick and former top prospect, Brady House, the 22-year-old guy who just turned 22 years old back early on in June, he has been really impressive so far. And even looking at the counting stats, in his first 13 games, he has 12 hits, he has 15 total bases, 3 doubles mixed on in there, 5 RBIs, 3 walks, 14 strikeouts, and also has a couple of stolen bases. But the power has not been there yet. And I expect the power to come. And I think that's what a lot of people are anticipating at this point in time. But I do want to say this. Brady House defensively, this is kind of one of those situations where no one really raved about him defensively. No one really kind of stood on a table and said, this guy is going to be really good defensively at third base. I think we all kind of predicted that he would be, considering that he was a pretty solid defensive shortstop. But moving over to third base, you're either going to be really good or it just simply does not click. Well, Brady House looks like a natural over there. And the more I see from him, the more I like. Like, I think he does have that Gold Glove caliber kind of defensive ceiling there. I'm not sure if he'll ever win one in his career, but all things considered, he's only been playing third base for 2-3 years now. And he looks like he has been a mainstay over there for the Washington Nationals. And we have seen some really good defensive third basemen over the years. Starts off with the Zim, Anthony Rendon back in the day. Jeimer Candelario a few years ago had a really good first half for the Nationals defensively. We've seen it. Paul DeYoung, also the beginning portions of this year. We've seen it for the Nationals. But Brady House, I've been really impressed so far. And also, I do think the power is going to come, offensively speaking, because he did have 2 doubles over the weekend in Anaheim, but we want to see the home runs because through his first 13 games, 0 home runs, but that makes me think that he's due. And I feel as if that it's going to come around, but maybe it's tomorrow against the Tigers when the Tigers come to town, which, by the way, the Tigers are a wagon of a team. We're going to miss Tariq Skubal, thank goodness, because the Nationals do not want that at this point, because that is a very, very elite pitcher. And I'm sure everyone's out there has been watching him as they should be, because he is just incredible to watch each and every 5 days. He struck out his first 8 batters on Sunday Night Baseball yesterday. What a stud. But when the Tigers come to town, maybe that's when Brady gets things together, because then after that, you got the Red Sox, and maybe the Nationals can put together some wins here. And at home, July 4th, Friday 11 a.m. game for the Nationals. Who knows what happens moving forward. But thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen. Tomorrow's show, we'll talk about that series against the Tigers and really how the Tigers, they have saved, which at one point was kind of looked at as a dead rebuild, and they've saved that. So we'll kind of compare and contrast those two things on tomorrow's Locked On Nationals. But until then, you enjoy the day off, enjoy the beautiful weather outside, mid-80s. Love it here in DC. I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Have a good one. Go Nats.